The Buffalo Bills somehow, some way pull off the impossible versus the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football, their opening game of the season. According to ESPN Analytics, the Buffalo Bills only had a 1.1% chance of winning this football game, down 40-25 with 4 minutes left. Josh Allen finds a receiver on 4th and 2 that gets deflected and goes right into his receiver's hands. Derrick Henry fumbles. The Buffalo Bills score a touchdown and fail to convert on the 2-point conversion. And then the Ravens go 3 and out. Buffalo gets the ball back, and Matt Prater kicks the game-winning field goal after he takes a red eye to Buffalo on Thursday morning. And that's how the game ends. And when there are crazy endings like this, it's hard to point at a specific player and say, you lost us the game. Because the Ravens scored 40 points. And Derrick Henry rushed for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson threw for 2 touchdowns himself without having an interception or turnover, and threw for over 200 yards. In this game, the impossible happened. And when the impossible happens, you can't look at a specific player and say, you cost us the game, but rather you need to look at different events throughout the impossible and recognize them for what they are. Impossible. The fact that Josh Allen's tipped pass went right to a Buffalo Bills wide receiver on 4th and 2 was just the beginning of the impossible. And then the fact that Derrick Henry, who never fumbles the ball, just became another part of the impossible. And then the fact that the Buffalo Bills scored a touchdown but failed to convert the 2-point conversion, but then get the ball back after the Ravens go 3 and out when they've been scoring on drives all day, was just another part of the impossible. Somehow, things that rarely happen, tip passes, Derrick Henry fumbles, Ravens going 3 and out, failing 2-point conversion, all of it happened in a matter of 4 minutes or less, and it was the game of the year. The Baltimore Ravens scored on 7 of their first 8 drives, and they didn't even need to score at the end of the game. All they needed to do was convert a first down. One single first down, and the game was over. All that had to happen was Josh Allen's deflected pass not going right to one of his own receivers. And it was a flood of impossible momentum in the favor of the Buffalo Bills. And sometimes crap like that just happens. And there's really no explanation behind it, because there were so many different things in the final 4 minutes that happened that you would never expect. To me, one of the biggest surprises of this game is how many people stayed up to watch this game when the Ravens were up 40-25 with 4 minutes left. Because if I were in that situation, I would have turned that game off immediately. and went upstairs and gone to bed before it got too late. But here's me falling asleep on the couch at 8:45. So I missed the entire game and caught up this morning via YouTube. And when you have games like that happen, it is very deflating to a player because I think after the game, you're wrapping your mind around how that happened. Because at the 4-minute mark of that game, the Ravens, I'm sure, were already preparing themselves to celebrate after the game and starting the season 1-0. Especially after losing to Buffalo in the playoffs last year. And somehow they crumble in the final 4 minutes of the game. But after the game, Lamar Jackson shoved a fan. But I first need to tell you about Hoagland Farms beef. 952-491-1541. Call Jared for the best rotation grades 100% grass-fed beef. If you want beef, steaks, chuck roast, and more for about $4 a pound, contact Hoagland Farms, 952-491-1541. Contact Jared and he'll give you 20% off your first order by telling him Tim sent you. 952-491-1541. So Lamar Jackson pushed a fan after the game. And in these instances, I am normally anti-player because I want to bring up composure. I want to bring up patience and understanding. But in this instance, I am pro-player because a player should have the right to protect himself if a fan of an opposing team is going to slap his helmet. If a player is going to be treated unfairly, not verbally, not with a sign, but physically, that fan has it coming. And the NFL should not punish Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson was protecting him and his teammates because he does not know what that fan is possibly going to do. A drunken Buffalo Bills fan. You have no idea what that guy is capable of. And this is as much on the NFL as it is the fan. Because the NFL needs to take steps to protect their assets. Because the assets are the players. And this particular asset is a former MVP of the league. And I think one of the dumbest things the NFL allows is having players walk so close to fans as they leave the stadium. Why can't you make those tunnels a little bit wider or have a railing or have some sort of method in place so that the fan can't touch a player as he's walking off the field? But rather create a boundary so that if the player wants to sign autographs or do that whole slapping hands thing, he can go to the fan. But Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were just walking off the field, minding their own business. And a fan slaps Lamar Jackson across the head. And Lamar Jackson, being mature and responsible, takes ownership of the situation and basically says, I should have acted differently. I shouldn't have been overcome by my emotion. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I'm going to learn from it. But that's the PR answer. Deep down inside, Lamar Jackson knows or believes that allowing fans to mess or touch you as a member of the different team is outlandish and unfair. And the NFL needs to protect their players, even from stupid things like this. Yes, the fan just hit Lamar Jackson on the head or on the helmet, but Lamar Jackson was minding his own business. If anything should happen, it should happen to the fan. And it looked like he was ejected from this game. And so that happened. But there should be future ramifications that this fan has to deal with, because allowing him back into a stadium where he messed with a player, an opposing player, then he has lost all credibility or trust moving forward. But the Buffalo Bills pull off the impossible versus the Baltimore Ravens and somehow win. And that's how Sunday night football ends. Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdown passes against his former New York Jets team. And thanks to Chris Boswell, the Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Jets in another thriller, 34-32. And this season is Aaron Rodgers' revenge tour. Aaron Rodgers is on a revenge tour this season because it's not only that the Jets didn't want Aaron Rodgers. It's not only that the Packers didn't want Aaron Rodgers a few years ago. It's that 31 other NFL franchises did not want Aaron Rodgers. He was on the market forever this offseason, waiting for any Super Bowl contending team to come vying for his services. And there was only one, the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was no competition for Aaron Rodgers' services. There was no controversy over the bidding war for Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings had a conversation and had some dialogue at their facility. But Aaron Rodgers was forced to sign with the Steelers, or his other choice was to retire. And he chose the Steelers. And he throws 4 touchdown passes. And now, as other NFL teams see this potential resurgence from Aaron Rodgers against a Jets defense coached by a defensive head coach and as Sauce Gardner, he throws 4 touchdown passes. And I'm sure a lot of it was needling by Mike Tomlin, because I'm sure he won't throw for 4 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions in the future, or at least multiple times again in the season. But it was a game that is going to make many other NFL franchises this season question their decision to pass on Aaron Rodgers, especially if the quarterback that you put trust in, for example, the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, they said, Rodgers will pass on you. We're going to put our Super Bowl hopes and trust in rookie essentially rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. And if McCarthy goes out there and fails in the Vikings home opener on the road against the Chicago Bears, there will be people within that Vikings organization that are going to regret passing on Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers wanted to be a Viking. And that's what he was holding out hope for, to sign with the Vikings. And then he goes out and has a 136 quarterback rating, 22 for 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This season is the Aaron Rodgers revenge tour. And he is going to do everything within his power to make sure that every single team regrets passing on Rodgers. Rodgers has used this formula to fuel his fire throughout his entire career. When he dropped in the first round of the NFL draft, he has used that fire throughout his entire career. And now here's more fire, because it's very similar to the exact same situation where he drops, he's a free agent, teams are passing and passing and passing, saying no thanks. And then there was one that took him, that took a chance on the 41-year-old quarterback that hasn't had a successful season in a few seasons. And now he goes and throws 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. All right, last story. The Giants score 6 points against the Commanders. Russell Wilson, 17 for 37, 168 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Lose 21-6. Their season was over before it started. The Giants had no chance this season to be a good team. Their first 5 games are tough, besides that 5th game at the Saints. They could win that one. But the Saints showed some toughness in their opener versus the Arizona Cardinals. But the points that I want to make is, what are they doing with Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson went from Seattle to Denver to Pittsburgh to the Giants. Nobody wants him anymore. What are they doing starting Russell Wilson? Jaxson Dart needs to start now. What are you waiting for? The future isn't in 5 weeks from now when the Giants suck ass and are 0-5. The future is right now. Russell Wilson is not aging like a fine wine. And he didn't have the worst of worst games. But Jaxson Dart presents and gives the Giants another dynamic that Russell Wilson does not. Russell Wilson is doing his best to just survive in the NFL. And that's why he has bounced from team to team to team to team. Denver ate $80 million in dead cap because they didn't want Russell Wilson on their roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers said, I'd rather have 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers than Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson is looking around the league, just trying to find a team that will somehow fall for this charade of being the Super Bowl winning quarterback and bringing a veteran presence into the quarterback room. Because I will give this to Russell Wilson. He is the best interviewing technician in the world that somehow gets the keys to 4 different franchises in the final stage of his career. Because his numbers ain't great. They weren't terrible. But Russell Wilson, he's not one of those quarterbacks that's really ever going to have the worst numbers in the world. 0 picks, but 0 touchdowns. He takes care of the ball. But he doesn't give the Giants their best opportunity to win. And that's why Jaxson Dart should start immediately on the road at Dallas, especially because of what he provided the Giants in the preseason. Some real numbers and skill and accuracy. And when you look around the league last year, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, players that took their organizations that weren't expected to do anything and took them to the playoffs. That could be the Giants and Jaxson Dart's story this season if he was given an opportunity to do it. But the longer the Giants wait, the more likely Brian Daboll is to be fired. And the longer the Giants wait, the quicker their season is over. So that's something they should do right now. Thanks for joining the show today. Hit that subscribe and like button. Appreciate you joining this podcast, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. This was The Brawl with Tim Paul.